So for you guys, obviously you're still wedding filmmakers. You're still in the game. How has doing the podcast and kind of growing your platform in that area affected the films that you've been making?
So that's a really interesting question. I wouldn't say that there is, for me, like more pressure to create something that people will like look up to or whatever. But there kind of is a little bit, I mean, it's, we want to show that John and I are still actively working in the, wedding film community. It's something that we want to, we believe that if we are going to teach on this and educate on this, that we need to be in it and involved in it. And so, but with that, if we're, maybe where I'm going with this is I start talking and then I figure out where I'm going.
Podcast special. That's a podcast
right,
special.
Exactly. We both really want to show, like, practice what we're preaching. One of the things that we talk about is especially with inquiries and, this kind of stuff. And there was a time when we were just, so busy earlier this year. And we actually got an inquiry from a couple that was getting married that had listened to our podcast. She was a filmmaker. He was in the industry somehow, but not a filmmaker. And, they inquired and we're like, in a perfect world, someone inquires with me. I respond to them within an hour. I hopefully have a phone call with them that afternoon and all this stuff. And after it all said and done, it was like 4 days later before I was able to get back to her because I was busy and I saw it and I kind of forgot about it and, all this other stuff. And then I was like, oh, she's going to think that I'm kind of a fraud here because I'm preaching these things and saying these things on our podcast, and that's not her experience. And so while I want my films and my work to be, next level for my couples, and that's still from a film standpoint, it's we want to, serve our clients really well, but we want to make great films so that people see, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about when it comes to this stuff. But it's also keeping me in check for how I'm running my business and how I'm doing the things that I'm doing, because I know that other people are like looking at us and watching us.
So I'm the exact opposite, and I realized this. So when Nick and I started the How to Film Weddings brand, like, I really needed help.
We
with
didn't
my
start
shooting.
the How to Film Weddings. Yes, we.
I thought you said
I had a Freudian something, and I really thought you said wedding film school, even though you said How to Film Weddings. Okay, you can talk now.
When we started it, though, I needed major help with my shooting and editing. Nick needed major help with his business. And so, like, to me, I'm not concerned at all about people wondering if I'm a fraud with my business. I have the anxiety and the fear about, like, people seeing my work and being like, how is that guy running a podcast? His work's not. So I've had to completely up my game when it comes to shooting and editing. And I think that's how Nick feels about running the business. And that's why our podcast is done so well, is like, I feel like I really have a lot, and was really focused on growing a really solid business. And Nick was so good about the shooting and the editing. And so together we've helped each other grow alongside thousands upon thousands of other filmmakers all at the same time, because I have genuine questions like, Nick, how did you get that color? What did we do that? Like, show me how to do that. And Nick is like, hey, I'm sorry, like, I don't have money in my bank right now and I need to understand. Like, there's been vulnerable, real conversations, especially early on, where it's like, hey, Nick, I'm still shooting on auto white balance. Don't tell anybody, Don't
do that.
Well, I don't anymore, luckily. But now my films, I feel like the most recent ones that I've produced are finally like what I've been envisioning for so long. But it took educating myself and making myself vulnerable. And that's what we preach all the time on our podcast, to do that.